I see a lot of videos for women on YouTube on how to get a so-called hourglass body, wider hips and bigger breasts essentially. They will tell you to work out, do plastic surgery, go on unnatural diets, and so on. All of this is bullshit. There's one solution to all of your problems: pregnancy. The reason you look the way you look is because you did not get pregnant right after you started menstruating. Your menstruation is literally your body, nature, God if you're religious, telling you to have children now. Not doing that is exactly the same as not eating meat and fat when you are hungry. It completely goes against your body's needs and senses, and you will be naturally punished for it. And in this case, you are punished with your looks. Every woman on earth that did not get pregnant when she was supposed to now looks different than she should, which means that most women in Europe and North America don't look the way they are supposed to. Do you understand how big of a deal this is? Almost every woman that walks past you in everyday life doesn't look the way she is naturally supposed to. The looks are one thing, but there's a much bigger problem that most women have no clue about. Your body stops growing at around the age of 18. Growth is not only your height, your body goes through a lot of changes, and one of them is that it tightens and stays that way for life. This is a huge problem for women in the West today. You've probably been told all of your life that childbirth is very painful, right? It actually isn't, but it is for most women in the West, and that's because they give birth almost 15 years too late. You have to understand that from nature's perspective, you are seen as a loser, and that's why you will be punished with pain. This is why you have to give birth when you are young and flexible. Your hips will widen very easily when giving birth, and you won't have to go through those painful contractions that women who give birth at an unnatural age go through. Your hips will stay that way and make all of your future births just as easy, whereas those women can even risk bleeding to death when they give birth. Again, this is a natural punishment for going against nature. You won't have stretch marks, your breasts will be much bigger, because you will be pregnant while you are going through puberty, which is how it's supposed to be. It will give you an extra boost, so to speak. This is how you actually naturally get an attractive body as a woman. Of course, you have to still eat natural food to be well developed and have an easy birth. You can't eat cookies and pasta and expect to have an easy childbirth, no matter how young you are. Genes obviously also play a role, and some women simply do have different body types. The media teaches women to be promiscuous. The schools teach them to use protection, and the families usually don't even get involved today. They don't have a strong father figure to lead them or to teach them anything. Back in the day, we did not document our birth dates as we do now. Most people didn't know how old they are because naturally it's irrelevant. On the day a girl got her first period is usually when she lost her virginity and got impregnated. Nobody cared about her exact age because it didn't matter up until today. I'll give you some examples. In Spain, 20 years ago, the age of consent was 12. It was changed to 16 some years ago. In Italy and Germany, it was also 12 for ages. In Italy, it is 14 now. Not that much has changed there. In Canada, up until 2008, it was also 14. Artificial marriages with a contract usually happen between the ages of 9 and 12, all around the earth. A bit over 100 years ago, the age of consent in the United States was 7 to 12 years, depending on the state. In 1920, after World War I, it was changed to 16 to 18, all of a sudden. That's also when women started working and sending their children to kindergarten. All of a sudden, the children were in the hands of the government. Everything started going downhill 100 years ago. It was like a great reset. mind control programs such as To Catch a Predator with Chris Hansen. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it. Men get caught for wanting to sleep with 15-year-old girls. Yet in Europe, the age of consent is 14 to 15 in most countries. And that's simply because even the governments here understand that no matter how old you are as a guy, you would have to be severely mentally ill not to find a 15-year-old girl attractive. Yet in the United States, you are seen as a monster for having a natural attraction, even though that's only 1 year away from 16, which is legal in a lot of states. It's a man-made number, and most importantly, in nature, you would never be able to tell if a girl is 15 or 16. Yet people still get prison sentences for sleeping with 15-year-old girls. But it's totally fine if she turns 16 the next day. Absolutely ridiculous. Women in nature don't work. Yes, they may gather food or do some chores here and there, but that's about it. Men do all of the heavy work. And that's because biochemically, we actually enjoy it. You as a woman do not want to work, and you most certainly do not enjoy working out or doing any kind of sports. Hormonally, it completely goes against your biochemistry. The more you work out, the more infertile you get. You would be a million times happier having a peaceful life, taking care of your children and your husband. A large amount of the time you would be pregnant, and that alone would make you want to rest, besides running the risk of a miscarriage if you would lift anything heavy. Women nowadays sleep around and then they later realize that they want to have a family and a husband who is loyal and respects them. Snap out of it. Deep down, every man is going to see you as used up. Don't complain about it. Realize that you fucked up and try to make the best out of it. Let's break all of this down and take the US as an example. As a teenager, you sleep around. Already when you've had 2 to 3 partners, the likeliness of you ever being able to pair bond is close to impossible. You are not allowed to naturally marry anybody who is older than you, who may be strong enough to take care of you, but you are allowed to sleep with other teenagers who watch porn and will drop you as soon as they have used you. This is where all of these damaged girls come from. You are not even allowed to artificially marry anybody with a contract before the age of 18. This is insane and inhumane because they make it impossible for girls to have stable relationships or to create a functioning family. You may have so-called relationships that even last a few years, but all of them will break in the end because of this. Essentially, it is illegal to have a family in the United States of America. I'm not kidding. This is what the New World Order is all about. China is a good example of it. The age of consent is 18, and to marry anybody you have to be 20 as a woman and 22 as a man. This is basically 10 years too late and guarantees a 99% family failure rate.